Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Hello and welcome to Episode 10, Series 3 of Around the World Today, here on Real Terrier Radio Podcasts. And it's May 2020. And the last 5 months has gone really fast, haven't it? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about what's been going on in the last month in the news. So let's start with one story that came up today, actually, about Atlantic Airlines, owned by Sir Richard Branson, billionaire, owns an island in the Caribbean. But hey, what can you do? I think I would do the same, but there'd be a difference of what I use my Caribbean island for. Anyway, Virgin Atlantic is to axe more than 3,000 employees and to close its Gatwick base. This comes after last week British Airways announced that it was also going to close its Gatwick base, and Ryanair, low-cost airline in the UK and Europe, has announced that it's cutting 3,000 staff members. You can find that story on our website, realterrio.com. There are a couple of stories about Virgin as a whole on there. Virgin Atlantic and Virgin Australia, because the same ploy that Branson was using for Virgin Atlantic, he was using for Virgin Australia that has gone bust. However, we'll move on, and sorry about that. I had to cough. I'm just getting over a ear infection, hence why there has been no podcast for a couple of days. I'm fine. No coronavirus here. It's just a ear infection that I get. So the kknew is, I've just done my eardrops before this. So, maybe it was a bad idea. But we'll move on. So in April, we have, Prime Minister Boris Johnson was admitted into hospital. And we've done a podcast about this and populism. The government seemed to, I don't know. From my point of view, when Boris went into hospital, the government seemed to be leaderless, and they were lacking any leadership. It was like they were just in a quandary what to do. Who was in charge? The first day you had Dominic Raab come out and say, well, I'm in charge, Yeah, he is. He's the Deputy Prime Minister and everything but a name. Then you had Michael Gove saying we'll take all decisions as a cabinet. What was quite, there's cabinet responsibility, but someone has to be ultimately responsible. Now, when your Prime Minister is fighting for his life, you can't really bother him with these details, can you? He's fighting the battle of his life. And yes, sometimes I don't agree with Boris Johnson's politics, but I wouldn't wish the death on the man. Do you know what I mean? I'm a human being, just like everyone else. You wouldn't wish the death on him. But maybe his cabinet, if they would stop fighting about who was in charge that morning, and when he was first diagnosed with COVID-19, maybe, took some responsibility and showed on some of the workload instead of acting like a child. But then you've got Boris himself. He chose his cabinet, so, they're filibustering for, leadership. He didn't want any competition in his cabinet, and this is the mess we get in. And what else did we have in April? Oh yes, we had a change in the leadership of the Labour Party to Sir Keir Starmer. The jury's still out on him here. Me and the other Terry have had a few discussions about him, and we're split. For me, the jury's still out, but for Terry, he's Yeah, he doesn't like him. But it comes... I don't know. I think I'm going to give him some time. And I don't even know what's going on with the other, Liberal Democrats Party. Now, should we talk about Corona-19? Or COVID-19? Corona-19? That sounds a bit like a beach party, doesn't it, in Mexico? But should we talk about the coronavirus? The handling of it, like I said in the last episode, the faceless people talking about, what was it? Do you know what I mean? Bigging up Boris Johnson for his leadership when he was in a hospital bed. It's a bit, after not following his own government's advice. Does populism seem to forget this, or is it really about political education and education in general? Up until now, has education been that bad from from anything above my generation? Do you know what I mean? From anything below my generation even, was education that bad that it didn't teach? Because, I'm going to say this, and I know it's bad, but the predominantly of Boris Johnson's following are older people. And people who lean towards not being academically gifted in the terms of the ones who are always kicked out of school or class in comprehensive. That's what won him his majority in the last election. Is it come that these people just want a populist symbol to put their their support behind? So theoretically, what one could do is go and pick a cucumber out of Tesco's, put a blonde wig on it, and say it, and press statements with long, contiguous words, and keep repeating myself, the cucumber self. I was going to say myself then, but keep repeating the cucumber self, and and say words like fake news, and that is a conjuring. Could we get away with this today with populism? It seems to be working in America. What else do we have this month? Oh yes, Donald Trump has suggested that people inject themselves with bleach as a cure for COVID-19. However, a couple of hours after the major bleach manufacturer in the world, Dettol, came out and said, "Do not do this, it will kill you." The vast majority of people already knew that bleach near your skin is not a good idea, so bleaching your body is a very bad idea. But Donald Trump didn't. He said he made it as a joke. And we have that on the last episode too. Please do go and listen to the day after. I was just in amazement when he said that. I just can't believe that the world has come to a place that we're in right now. And I really feel and worry sometimes of what's coming on. And then we have coronavirus. It's the great unknown that's out there. But I've lost a friend a couple of weeks ago, and he was buried yesterday. Normally, myself, Terry, Leannery, and others would go to our friend's funeral. But we couldn't go to our friend's funeral because of the COVID-19 and the regulations currently in place. But then I look at it that I'm not angry that we can't go to the funeral, because I can remember our friend in a different way, and we've chosen to do that, me and Terry through Real Terrier, and we've honoured him, through a way that way. But when it comes to a new way of life, I've been thinking, these regulations, we all know that life as we know it has changed. Life will always change. Life doesn't stay, we don't stay in the same thing. Not every day is the same. Not every hour is the same. Life has always constantly changed. Just now, we have to be a lot more careful in what we're doing every day of the week, and who we're meeting and bumping into people. And normally you would go and give someone a hug. Maybe instead of giving them a proper hug, go, when the regulations stop, just raise your hands and move back, and they move back, and new ways. Life doesn't stop. Life keeps going, and it always changes, and it always throws something into you. Something different. So there's no such thing as normal. Everyone's hoping that we get back to normal. And that's what I noticed in April, and I'm starting to notice it even more in May, that everyone wants us all to be normal. So we're going to get back to normal. This is what I keep hearing. When is the lockdown going to end and we're going to get back to normal? Well, I put it to you that there's no such thing as normal, because not one of us has the same day. And for something to be normal, and I don't like this word normal, because I'm using abbreviation marks every time I say normal to do this, but every time we use that word, it's really a bit of a crock, isn't it? Because there is no such thing as normal. Because, like I said, we all have different experiences, different life. It just becomes your day-to-day routine. Now, for me, I don't like change. None of us like change. But I really do hate change. Or when I used to. I've adapted to this change quite easily. And my 2-week holiday sabbatical virtually at home was great. But, I've tried to adapt. Warm. Pretty good. That's all you can do. And when the lockdown regulations ease, life won't get back to normal. Just, it's about common sense, isn't it? When you're outside, if you see a friend, yes, you can talk, keep into social distancing regulations. Say hi, go to the pub, sit your 2 meters apart, go to church, have a pray, go to, for a walk on a mountain, you can go to the beach. Just keep it trying. Do you know what I mean? Keep the regulations in place. Life doesn't need to stop. And you all have to keep locked in your house. No. Be proactive. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face unless you've washed your hands, and then wash your hands again. Do you know what I mean? Wear gloves. Don't wear those stupid big huge masks. They scare me. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. And you've been listening to Around the World today, Series 3, Episode 10. And this was your May update and a bit of my update on life and my own personal reflection. And I hope you are having an awesome time. And guys and girls, I really do hope you are staying safe out there. And
click, listen, enjoy.
I will see you next time.
This week's episode has come to an end. But the fun doesn't have to stop here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head over right now to Twitter and Facebook and like, share, and get involved. Join us next time.